to Fika for Life.
Woohoo!
This is Lin Nguyen today and
Edward Thomas.
yay! And we are on part 2 on our friendship with the opposite sex part. So last time you heard us babbling about how we became such incredible people.
We were like exceptional. We were above the curve.
And today we want to talk about like how to build those friendships with the opposite sex without being it awkward or unnatural, because it
Or
can
perverted.
also, or perverted was also strange. So imagine you were, I don't know, you started studying, or you were at a new job or whatever, and usually in your friend zone you only have mostly guys if you're a guy, or mostly girls if you have friends. If you're a girl. So how do we balance this out? Edward, how do we balance this out?
Well, first you have to be committed to friendship.
Yeah,
So-
like, don't go into the field and think, oh, I gotta get a husband. Oh, I gotta get a wife. Because that destroys it all. Like, no.
Yeah.
That's not how it works. At least not in Europe. At least not here in Sweden. Like, I don't know other cultures. Maybe in other cultures you're like, you only go for the deep dive if you want something from them, like marry them. But here in Europe, it is quite common to be able to be friends with both sexes.
Exactly. So, like, if you come from a culture where men and women don't interact, like Lynn was saying, this might be really good for you and your friends to sit down and listen to if you're planning on taking a trip, study trip, whatever, to the West, to Europe.
Because girls might talk to you and they might hug you. It doesn't mean they hit on you.
Exactly. So one of the things that you need to do is first you have to sort of understand the cultural interaction for the place you're in. Mm-hmm. So guys coming from other countries where guys and girls don't talk to each other, women are really friendly in the West, and they'll talk to you and they'll be nice to you just because they are nice. And
Not because they want anything, or they want you to rape them, or they want you to touch them, or they want to marry you, or you want your money.
Preach
or
the
whatever.
list, sister. You are prophetic today. I said go on. I think we should go out on a preaching tour, you know. And that's really important, so that a person of the opposite sex who is just nice to you or giving you attention doesn't necessarily automatically mean that they are interested in anything more than just friendship. They might not even want to be friends with you.
Yeah,
They
they're
just might be
nice.
polite and nice to you.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that you have to sort of understand. And then you need to be really honest. Like, I would pray and ask God to give me insight, and really be honest about how you relate to people of the opposite sex. If you only see someone as of the opposite sex as a potential boyfriend or girlfriend, or as a potential marriage partner, then you're like, your mind isn't even set up for friendship.
Yeah,
Because
you're looking
you're-
for the wrong thing.
Yeah, because everything is so charged. So you'll automatically misinterpret the signs of friendship.
It's not natural anymore.
No, exactly. And
It
then
should be like interacting with your sister or your brother. It shouldn't be. There shouldn't be any sexual tension.
No.
There shouldn't be like, you can be attracted to the other person,
Right.
But other things have to matter more in that sense.
yeah, and that's the other thing, is just because you're attracted to someone doesn't mean that they should be your boyfriend or girlfriend, doesn't mean that they are attracted to you, and doesn't mean that there's anything more going on than this friendship. Some people are just beautiful.
Yeah, they're just nice.
Yeah, exactly. They
Just
just look
holy.
good, you know. Some people, I mean, and there's always that sort of spark. And what you have to learn how to do is to understand what is the real feelings that lead towards a boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage kind of relationship, and what is that spark that you just click with someone because there's a similar enough pattern to the way you guys are made or complement each other, and that can be intense. So friendship with the opposite sex can be super intense. You can love someone of the opposite sex
You can feel like
and
you're
not be
their
in love with them.
soulmate. or
Exactly.
something.
So there's certain people. I have female friends. My friend Gina, just shout out to Gina. Gina and I became friends. We used to like each other back in the day when we were kids, but we've never really had anything else other than just mostly a friendship. And to this day, like, if we meet each other or something like that, and it might have gone 10 years since we've seen each other, it's always that same sort of intense, like, we're friends, we laugh, we talk, but I'm not going to marry her.
No.
You know, she's not going to marry me. Like, she's already married. I'm already married. Like, we're not going that direction. And there's nothing like that. There's nothing like that going on. But we just click.
Yeah.
And we still click. And we click after 35
It's like
years.
chemistry. It's like chemistry. You sometimes have someone you click really well with.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you need to marry them.
No.
Don't buy into this BS from Hollywood that says soulmate. Oh,
Yeah.
you're gonna marry your soulmate. Blah blah blah.
I felt something. Yeah, okay, well,
There was gas.
Exactly. And so you need to be really honest with yourself. Like, if you don't have the tools to distinguish between intense feelings that doesn't necessarily lead to a physical romantic relationship with someone, then you shouldn't enter into the friendship thing because that's a possibility. Some friends you're going to click with really well. Some friends you're going to be really open with. And you need to know what friendship is. And so you need to develop that first. So one of the things might be is maybe trying to start. So if you haven't had friendships like that, it's to start with being friends with people who you really just are not attracted to.
Yeah, they're like, yeah.
You know, or start with just being friends with people who you have a limited interaction with. So like people at work.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're studying chemistry and you have a lab partner, and that's under a controlled situation, don't try to expand outside of that. Don't go out to dinner in a romantic restaurant and go to a movie and then sit on their bed and then sit on their bed going, is this friendship? No. Keep it limited as you start to develop, because it's a learned response. So you have to develop the skills to have friendship with the opposite sex.
And you should always like draw your own line somehow, because the more time you spend with a person and the more you tell them and the more you trust them and you have this interaction, the more you are intimate with that person. And it doesn't mean that you are impure or whatever.
No.
It can just be pure friendship. But the thing is, intimacy makes that you two get really, really close.
Yeah.
And it might get too close. It might get so close that the other person starts to develop feelings, or you start to develop feelings. So that's why I think also recommended being friends with someone you're not attractive to, because then it might be easier to start with that kind of person than to start with someone you are attracted
already
to.
Like, wow, the stars exploding in heaven when I look into your eyes. Because really what Lynn is saying is really important. The whole idea of clear boundaries are the things that you always fall back on. So if I'm just meeting someone and I become friends with that person, I tend to be like have really clear boundaries. So I'm married, and so I don't want anything other than just friendship. I don't want someone pining away about, oh wow, I wish I could be with Edward because he's so wonderful. Because I'm not going to respond to that, and so that's just stupidness, you know. And so I try to let people know I'm married, that I'm a believer, because I think that makes a big difference. That I love making friends with people, but I'm not interested in anything. And I try to be really good at shutting down if someone's constantly saying, "Oh, Ed, if I was your wife," well, you're not.
So,
well, Ed, if you and I were married, but we're not. so sometimes, because you want to be able to have a type of friendship that whatever relationship you personally have with someone else, you can be really clear about that friendship. So my wife knows that I have friends with people of the opposite sex. And so I have to make sure that she's reassured that those friendships are of such nature that there's no competition.
Yeah, and I think the most illoyal thing you can do to yourself and to other woman is to snatch somebody's man away. I'm not saying it's the woman's fault, but it's like, it's an interaction. So if the man already, I don't know, if he promised you whatnot, you should not fall for this. Like, this is an issue between those two, and you can be a good friend by saying you should turn to your wife. You should talk to your wife.
Yeah.
Like, it can easily end up in this situation where you have a guy who's maybe married or a girl who's married, and then the opposite sex comes in, and then you're talking, you become friends, and you feel like, oh, we're just soulmates. Step away from those situations.
Right.
It's not good.
Yeah. Okay. So that was a little background. But what we say here, there's a person that that you just met. How do you establish friendship? Well,
you talk.
You talk.
You do something together.
Friendships are usually based upon the initial stages of friendship are usually based upon a shared interest, a shared behavior. Like, so we work in the same department. So we may work at different areas of the department, but because we work at the same department, that's the basis
for fika together.
Yeah.
Or lunch.
There you go, fika. That's always a great place for friendship. It could be that, so when I was playing tennis, when I was a tennis player, sometimes we meet the same person at tournaments, and then you start off just saying hi to them, hey, and we're like, oh, how did your match go? Well, because we were both tennis players, we're playing in the same tournament, so a friendship started to develop over time because we're always ending up in the same kind of places, and then you ask the person's name, so you went from being a stranger to being an acquaintance and knowing the person's name, and last time you said like your dad was sick or something. How did that work out?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where friendship starts.
You share information.
Something. Yeah.
You share information from each other.
And you find out what kind of person they are. So the more information you share, the more that person should have earned your trust. So don't go off telling people like are your deepest secrets. Some people do that. They'll tell their whole life story. You're just like, oh my God.
I didn't want to know that.
Now I can write your memoirs because I know everything you thought, everything you've done, and everything other people have said to you. That's nice. Thank you for finding the confidence in me. No. That's one area to start with. But what do you do, Lynn, when you start to just get to know someone?
So last year, a couple of months ago, I started new work. And obviously that's a great place to make new friends. Okay. And we have fika together and lunches and we work together. So it's a big place for me to work. There are like 15, 16 people who do the same job as I do. So firstly, I start with, as you said, the name. What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. How long have you been working here? And then obviously I try to talk to everyone, and then you somewhat click with certain people more than with others.
Yeah.
And then you maybe share information, and then when you have things that cross over, you can exploit them. Those points of interest or things that are in common. And I think it's just something like asking the other one how they are doing, or picking up on something that you talked about before. It's a good way of starting conversation. Like last time you said this and this, so how's it going? Or how did that turn out? And it's just showing concern, and then you will see the response, because some people, they don't want to be friends with you. Maybe from the opposite sex.
And it becomes pretty obvious.
Yeah, and then they'll answer you shortly or rudely or whatnot, and then you know. So that's how I made new friends, I guess, sharing information.
Yeah, because if you're having a conversation with a person, the conversation doesn't go anywhere, then it's probably very unlikely that you'll actually become friends with that person. You might become an associate. You might say hi and bye to them, sort of the polite level of friendship, if you want to call it that. But you'll never have anything of any substance or anything.
Yeah. And you don't have to, so don't force it. Now we talked about for people that mostly have friendships with their own sex.
Yeah.
But that could also be because you think that the only thing you share is with people with their own sex.
Yeah.
But actually at work, for example, most jobs actually have the other sex there somewhere doing the same job.
Again, but that's because we're in the Western world where men and women both have equal access to the job market, driving. There's countries where women aren't allowed to drive.
Yeah.
There's countries where women there's certain jobs that they're not allowed to have.
Yeah.
And so that, but here in the West, it's pretty often, like you're saying, that, or go to school. If you go to school, you'll be in a class often that's mixed. If you go to work, you'll be in a workplace that's mixed. If you're sitting on the bus, like men and women don't have special places to sit on the bus.
Be bad.
If you go to a restaurant, men and women don't have special places that they sit. You go to church. In most churches, there are some churches that men and women sit on opposite sides of the room. When I went to one of the Messianic congregations before, we decided that the men and women would sit on different sides of the room, which would be really, because then if you go and talk to a girl, So
That's a bit strange.
yeah, it's like, why would you cross over to the other side? Like, okay. And people are like, oh, you're interested in the person. No, we're just friends. But then it was like a little more weird because the men and women were separated because
Yeah. Maybe then you have to do that after service,
genes, yeah.
meeting outside.
But that was like, but most of the time you're in a place that's mixed. Even if it's a sporting thing,
Yeah.
sometimes unless it's like sport that only men are playing, I guess. But
And only men are watching.
only men are watching, exactly.
Like,
Because if the women are watching, you're going to try to show
American football.
off. Yeah. Yeah, we don't tend to play co-ed American football.
That'd be bad.
Yeah, that would be like, come on, Lynn, I'm going to tackle you and just like pick you up. Just like,
I can be the ball. You can throw me.
really? Wow, that'd be kind of cool. Lynn is so tiny, so we throw her around often as a
That's not
football.
true.
Catch her!
I'm like a bowling ball.
No.
Like one of the heavy ones.
No, you're not, Lynn.
Roll
She's just
me down
making
the
up things.
aisle.
You know what?
take
I
all
would
of
carry
them.
Lynn, like 10,000 miles or whatever. No problem.
Oh,
But anyway, here we just got distracted again.
you distracted me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
I
didn't mean
think
to do that. I led you astray.
what also is really good if you have a shared humor.
Yeah. So Lynn and I are friends. And one of the good things is that, like, Lynn knows I'm married. I know she's married. I'm also friends with her husband, which is really cool. Because one of the things I'm committed to is to make sure that in my friendship with Lynn and Eunice is that I'm friends with both, and that my friendship has to be kind of neutral. So I don't want to ever take sides, or like I want my friendship to be like a support for them. So I want my friendship to
Not a rival.
lead them to something good and positive, and not like driving a wedge between them or anything like that. And I think those kind of things, like I know what kind of friend I want to be, and I know what kind of friendships I want to have. And because I'm committed to that, then that sort of helps me in being friends with people of the opposite sex. Like I would feel really sad if I did something, and so I mean, obviously I probably could tempt Lynn because I'm just so fantastic and beautiful. I mean, even snails follow me home. So, yeah, please. No. But I would feel really sad if in our friendship I would do something that would like make like it would be against God's word, or it would like be a problem for Lynn and Eunice's marriage, because I'm committed to them having a good marriage, and I want my friendship to sort of contribute to that and stuff like that. So, and because I want that, then that's the kind of friendships I try to have with Lynn, try to have with Eunice, and Lynn and Eunice. So I feel like I have a friendship with Eunice and a friendship with Lynn, and the friendship with Lynn and Eunice.
But I think we should always be aware when we go into friendships with the opposite sex and the other partner, or the other one has a partner. We should always be aware of this. What you just said, like what role do you play in this, and whatever problem they have is between them.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously, as a friend, you should be there and listen to them complaining about their spouse or whatnot. But you should always try to not pick a side, and you should be supportive, but try not to like intervene in this conflict because it's not yours.
Yeah, and I think as a believer, one of the things is that it's prayer. I actually try to pray to God that I would be a good friend, pray for my friends, especially the ones who are married or involved in other in relationships with other people, because I think that's really important to have God's help in that. And then one of the things I like about being friends with you is that there's just really open communication. If you get pissed at me, you're going to tell me.
Oh, yeah.
And then I walk home and cry all day long. It's like,
Don't.
and I go and kill the lamb and seek for forgiveness. Put the blood on the side.
You just want to eat the lamb, dude. It's not for your forgiveness. You just
Yes,
want to
it
eat
is.
It.
It's the blood. It's the atonement. No, I'm kidding. We happen to be reading in the Old Testament, and we've been reading about sacrifices, and that's why you're going to hear me talk about sacrifices for a long time. But there's a and I think if you're going to have friendships with the opposite sex, there needs to be a level of honesty and openness. I think that because what that does, it helps to sort of define the culture of that relationship is really important. And then, like in our guys group at church, so the men, hopefully, we're all accountable for each other. And I think if the men saw that something was unhealthy about our relationship, that they would probably confront me. They would probably call me and say, "Hey, Ed, you know what?
You've
blah, blah,
been
blah, blah, blah. I saw
talking to
this,
Lynn a
you know.
lot, blah, blah, blah.
You and Lynn were naked in the sauna. Does that just seem really inappropriate? I was like, really? Oh, I didn't think about that.
I would never do that, Ed.
No, that would just scare me. That's like being naked with my kids or something, my sister.
Ew.
That'd be like me going to the sauna with my sister. I would not get naked with my sister, and I would not get naked with you, Lynn. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I would not get naked with my brother either. Ew.
Even though you come from
And
Germany.
not even my father. I'm like, oh!
Oh, wow. Well, think if my mother called me up, Edward, I want us to go to the sauna together, naked. I'd be like, oh my gosh.
No.
And Mom's seen now. It's like, sorry, lady, I can't come. I'm in Sweden. They won't let me come back to the States.
Ever again.
Exactly. They've confined me. And it sounds like we're joking, but there's some seriousness in this, and that's that friendship has certain boundaries.
Yeah. Don't overstep.
There's just certain things, like I'm not going to be kissing my friends on the mouth. I'm definitely not going to be French kissing
Even
them.
if it's a culture.
Not even if the culture. Like, sorry, that's where I draw the line. And there's certain things, that you just don't do with
Don't
friendship.
touch each other.
But I've hugged you.
Yeah, but
I
mean,
pray for you. I put my hand on your shoulder.
But some people who come as friends,
Yeah.
they hug and they touch each other and they
Ew.
caress each other. I'm like,
Those people are not my friend because
No.
that's just too creepy.
No, and
No.
I think that's like a sign that something else is missing there that they should
Yeah,
figure
exactly.
out.
Don't be using me to get your emotional feel on, thinking like, okay, I'll just touch you because it's safe.
It's easy to go into the friends with benefits zone over there.
Yeah, and that's what we're not talking about that. No friends with
No.
with benefits. We were actually
You
talking
only
about
get the normal benefits, not the
true-
extra benefits.
Exactly. You don't get the special. Just pick them. Okay. I'm not gonna say that. No, but
Edward.
no, because whatever. But there's but one of the things I think that's really important is that in the whole idea of what a friendship is, what a friendship is not. A friendship is not a sexual. What we're talking about is a non-sexual relationship with a person, but still there's room for love. There's room for care and concern. And I think that so if you're shy, or maybe you feel it's uncomfortable to be like you want to have friends of the opposite sex, but you feel really uncomfortable about it because you've never really been there, or if you've only had relationships with someone of the opposite sex that's been sexually charged with, okay, this is probably a potential mate, a potential boyfriend, girlfriend. Then I would like to try to encourage you to really be clear about it. Why do you want to have friends with the opposite sex?
Yeah, and always keep yourself in check.
Yeah.
If
Have
you
accountability. Have
Yeah.
someone. Yeah. And you know what? If someone comes to you and says, hey, something about this is unhealthy, don't get mad at someone. That just shows like you're not mature enough for that. Most people who say things like that to you are just looking out for your best interest, and they don't want you to be unclear, to do anything that's really bad or anything. So, but that's I think there's good benefits to being with friends of the opposite sex. Now, obviously, this is just to encourage you to get out there, get your feet wet, and talk to people, talk to someone who's of the opposite sex about something that's just really generic, and see where that leads to.
Yeah. You can only improve by trying it out.
Yeah, it's something that you'll get better at with time.
You can't just listen to this podcast and think things will work out.
Why did I make any friends? No one likes me. I listened to Ed and you and then Lynn and it didn't work. Well, I mean, if at first you don't succeed, try again.
Try again.
That's what happens with friendship. Some people, you just gotta figure out what kind of friend you are, and how the way that you develop friends is really different than the way that maybe I would do it or Lynn would do it.
True.
And there's
Develop your own style.
Yeah, your own flavor. And one of the things is like, do it in a neutral place or in a neutral way.
Yeah.
Don't
invite them home to your bedroom and
that
talk about
definitely
politics or something.
That definitely gives other signals when you invite people into your bedroom. That's like, I don't invite you into my bedroom. It's a reason why I don't do that. Get out. You don't belong here. Evil child. All right. If you have more questions about this particular subject, please write to us. There's another episode coming along, but that will be more about maybe some of the pitfalls and dangers of friendships with the opposite sex, because it's not easy.
We talked about some of them today, but we're going to go into the more big dimensions of it next time.
Like what to do or how to handle when. Boop, 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 boop. Aha! See, I didn't tell you. Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. Thank you guys for listening.
Yes, and we'll see you next time at Fika for Life.
Subscribe.
Don't forget to subscribe. You think they got the idea that they're supposed to subscribe?
Yeah.
We should say it one more time. Subscribe.
All
right. Take care, everyone. Be blessed. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you have any comments or ideas, please send us a message to fikaforlife@mail.com. Fika, F-I-K-A. This was the Fika for Life podcast with Linh and Edward Thomas, and we hope to hear you again.